Well, when you call 911, you of course want fluid communication and a quick response. Right now, Illinois is in a streamlining process called Next Generation 911. WGEM's Dylan Smith is back from Macomb, where Western Illinois University students are leading the charge. And Dylan, how's it coming along so far?
Daniel, increased reliability is the ultimate goal. Over a dozen WIU students in the Geographic Information Systems Department have been working on the project for about 5 years, and since I last talked with them about a year ago, progress has been made.
They know what they're looking at before they go into the school.
The more first responders know, the better off they are.
911, where's your emergency?
Next Generation 911 gives dispatchers your phone number and exact location in an instant.
You want to know the room types, the room numbers.
And Western Illinois University GIS students are on the front lines, data collecting, mapping, and their focus right now, mapping the inside of hundreds of schools in Western Illinois.
I want to make sure that the information I'm providing for the 911 operators is anything that they would need on site. So any obstructions, anything that you would want to know logistically when you're in the school.
Senior Brad Mercer has worked on Next Gen every year he's been at Western. As a former first responder as part of a cadet program in high school, he knows all too well the importance of the project.
I've been sent to the wrong address because the addresses weren't updated.
With Next Gen 911, calls are sent to a centralized system in Springfield and instantaneously sent to the correct county. WIU's GIS Center Director Chad Sperry says that used to be a problem. In Stark County, Sperry says their work helped lead to the conversion of updated systems, becoming the last county in Illinois to be equipped with 911 services.
They had what was called basic 911, which means the phone would ring, but you would get no information.
Texting 911 is also a component of the new system. While they still have about 100 schools left to map, Sperry says they've transitioned to a maintenance stage, adding any changes to their data, like if new houses are built.
So that when they call 911, they get service.
And Mercer says there's been one instance so far in Fulton County where the updated mapping helped first responders go to the exact location of someone who needed attention. Otherwise, it could have taken several seconds or minutes longer to respond. Daniel.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. As Sperry says, the project will move as quick as funding allows. So far, students have mapped about 100 schools.